Hey guys, it's Mo and Fry with your nightly Newsy news. And Fry is freshly clean and newly traumatized from his first bath. Welcome This Way is up. Yes, we had our first bath. We were not a fan. I did not film it because we were crying. It was shenanigans. And the peanut butter trick, I'm sure, would have worked if he was not a high strung crybaby. But as with everything, I'm sure it will get better once he gets used to it. Hi, Rabbit. And we have a lot of news to get through today, a lot of animal news, which I'm sure will be all the things. Hello, blue hair Bible lady. Hey, hey. Saw you over on Nick and then on EU stuff with Dally. No, sir. It's not playtime right now. All right. So for our first story, a Navy vet who lost his jaw in a grizzly bear attack, eager to return to Montana for round two. Uh, I would never go back to Montana ever again. I'm just saying, just I would stay the hell away from Montana. But I'm not that kind of person. So, a the Navy veteran whose jaw was ripped off by a grizzly bear last month is already prepared to return to Montana backcountry where he faced off against the beast so he can win, quote, round two. Survivor Rudy Norlander, 61, is headed back home after undergoing a complete jaw reconstruction, an arduous feat that was accomplished with three major surgeries during his 5-week stay at University of Utah Health. Quote, "That first root beer flow is going to be amazing," Rudy wrote on a whiteboard at Friday's press conference. "Soon I'm going to be a free-range chicken and won't be hooked to anything." He was flown to Salt Lake City Hospital after his initial emergency room surgery to overcome the devastating injuries. Norlander came face to face with the bear while hunting for deer inside Custer uh, Custer Glacier National Forest just outside Big Sky on September 8th. The animal left scratches on Norlander's chest as well as bites on his arms and legs, though the most traumatic injury was what Norlander described as the most disgusting French kiss of his life. Well, at least he has his humor. I mean, look, smart ass humor will get you through almost all of life's problems, even apparently a grizzly bear attack. So, with with a little bit of humor and a little bit of smart aleckiness, you can get through a lot. That left him without his lower jaw. Dr. Hilary McCary, Kim Farnham, sorry, ooh, a surgeon and head and neck specialist, was able to construct or reconstruct Norlander's jaw by using a portion of his fibula bone. Interesting. His recovery has been slow. Norlander is still unable to eat solid foods and finds it too painful to speak, so he's relying on his daughters and his handy dry erase board to communicate. A mobile whiteboard of truth is amazing. Until he is able to use his new jaw. The limited ability to use his new mouth has left him fearful that he will choke on his own blood and spit, his daughter said. His positive outlook on life, however, has not faltered despite surviving a terrifying near-death experience and distressing medical journey. Quote, "The things that give me hope have given me motivation to get through this are my family," Norlander wrote on the dry erase board. Oh, wow. So they use like 3D printing. That's pretty cool. The surgical team made models of his jaw defect to better map his construction. Interesting. And then they took out a little bit of his bone, I guess. Look, I am not a doctorologist. This stuff squeaks me out. Uh, my job proves that most people are good, and I can't wait to get back to it. I'll win round two. His daughter, Caitlin, quickly rejected the idea. Quote, "I'd like for him not to do that. The fact that we've healed enough to get to this day is pretty remarkable." Norlander told a crowd of reporters he hopes to get back to the Montana backcountry as soon as December, and that he's not afraid of encountering any grizzlies. The experienced outdoorsman had been adequately prepared in the moments before the attack, carrying bear spray and a gun, but it wasn't enough to ward off the 10-foot bear. He tried scaring off the beast with the weapon, but it misfired and he was forced to use his hands. The hunter said he managed to scare off the bears and quickly called for a helicopter rescue, but was made to wait fully conscious for 2 hours before help arrived. Oh my gosh, I would look, y'all, this man is brave. I would quote, "The first thing that was incredible to watch was how positive Rudy was. Even after being attacked by a grizzly bear, he was very adamant he was going to get through it. That was very heartwarming as a physician." Mick Carey said, "Swear I can read English," commented New Orlander. The veteran shared his admirable insights with the crowd. Even when there seems to be no hope, keep on fighting. This poor guy. Yeah, but I mean, if we could all just have 1/10 of his kick-ass attitude, then I think we'll take on the rest of the day we have, like, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If we can just be half as kick-ass and positive as he is. So, I'm hoping he doesn't go round 2 with the bear, maybe just goes out in Montana for hiking. Sir, stay away from all the fuzzy creatures of the make a lot of noise well, if you're going hunting, I guess you shouldn't, but, you know, I'm just saying maybe outdoors, but, like, on beaten paths for a while. Just throwing that out there. A teen's death in a small Michigan town led the FBI and the police to an online sexual extortion scheme. Usually I don't read articles, and I didn't read this one, but I did put this in here because I definitely have a bunch of teen kids, and I figure everyone knows a teenager or, maybe they might be an aunt or, know someone that has teen kids, so I figured we could make sure we are aware of some of the things that are going on that we might not have been aware of the dangers that they face. So let's see. Last year, a teenager in a small Michigan town killed himself after an online chat turned to demands that he was to pay money to keep intimate photos secret. He was one of dozens of people targeted online by two men extradited from Nigeria to face charges, FBI Director Christopher Wray said Saturday. The arrests came after the FBI joined with the police in Michigan to investigate the death of 17-year-old Jordan DeMay, one of thousands of American teenagers targeted in a sharp rise in online sextortion cases in recent years. Quote, "They will face charges in the US for what they did to Jordan, but also, unfortunately, a whole bunch of other young men and teenage boys," Ray said in an interview with the Associated Press. "You're talking about a crime that doesn't respect borders. We'll make sure our partnerships don't have any borders either." Ray highlighted the case in a speech to the International Association of Police or Chiefs of Police about the ways agencies assist police in tracking violent crime, fentanyl, and gangs. In a year where tensions between Congress and the FBI have run high at times, Ray has focused on the agency's relationship with U.S. police departments, large and small, including some 6,000 task force officers around the country. Quote, "The threats that we face collectively around the country are incredibly daunting, but by far and away the most effective means of tackling those threats are teamwork." No, thank you, spam. I love spam calls in the evening. After DeMay's death in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, the FBI joined the investigation by the Sheriff's Department in Marquette County in the state police. DeMay thought he was chatting with a girl on Instagram about his own age, and the conversation quickly turned to a request for explicit pictures, authorities said. But once he had shared images of himself, the talk changed to demands for money in exchange for the other side not sending images to DeMay's family and friends. Oh, this poor kid. When the teenager could not pay, the person on the other end pushed DeMay to unalive himself, authorities said. DeMay had never been talking with a girl, according to the FBI, which said on the other end were two brothers from Nigeria using a hacked Instagram account. They researched him online using details about his friends and family to target their threats. They also tried to contact more than 100 people the same way, authorities said. The pair, Samuel Ogashi and Samson Ogashi, and I'm probably saying this very wrong, of Lagos, Nigeria, have pleaded not guilty. Samuel's lawyer declined to comment, and Samson's lawyer did not immediately return a message seeking comment. The FBI has seen a tenfold increase in sextortion cases since 2021. At least 3,000 children and teenagers have been targeted, and more than a dozen have sadly killed themselves. So, just keep an eye on your kids, make sure they understand, not to send anything that they would be ashamed to show their grandma on the internet or over their phone. It's kind of Many schemes are believed to be originating with scammers based in African countries such as Nigeria and the Ivory Coast. Most victims are between the ages of 14 and 17, but kids as young as 10 have been targeted. DeMay's mother, Jennifer Buta, said he was an easygoing high school athlete with a girlfriend and a big circle of friends. He was preparing to go to a trip to Florida with his father the night before his death, she said. His family has since spoken out about his death, urging other parents to talk to their kids about sextortion schemes. Quote, "It's very important for parents to know this can happen. Their child is not an exception." And we lost Fry because honestly, we're less fun than a feral kiddo. Uh, if they're on social media, it can happen so quickly, she said. Parents need to let their kids know that they can come to them with anything, and their parents will be there to help them and guide them through these situations. So, you know, if you know of teenagers or young kids that are on the internet, it might be time to just sit them down and have another one of those after school special talks with them. Like, we don't send, pictures that we'd be ashamed to show grandma. We don't talk to people we don't know. If anyone's ever asking you stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable, come to me, that kind of thing. Just, in other news, the Vatican will let women vote. I don't know about all this. I'm just kidding, you guys. Women's voices being heard at the Vatican's big meeting on church future, Nunn says. A prominent Irish nun said Monday that women's voices are being heard at Pope Francis's big meeting on the future of the Catholic Church, and said delegates are also acknowledging the hurt caused by the church's position on homosexuality. Sister Patricia Murray, executive secretary of the main umbrella group of women's religious orders, provided an update on the status of discussion halfway through the Vatican's nearly month-long synod. Look, I'm a recovering Catholic. I don't remember all of these words or meeting. Francis called the gathering to press his vision for the church that is more inclusive and welcoming, whereas ordinary Catholics have a greater say in decision making. Where ordinary Catholics have a greater say in decision making than the all male priestly hierarchy. A central theme has been the role of women in church governance. But another hot topic or hot button issues are also on the agenda, including acceptance for LGBTQ plus Catholics and priestly celibacy. Murray is one of the 54 women granted the right to vote for the first time at the Synod. She was also elected to the commission that will draft the synthesis document at the end of the meeting, another first for a woman. That document will provide the basis for a reflection when the second session is convened next year. Murray, who heads the International Union of Superiors General, told told a Vatican briefing that her election to the drafting commission was symbolically important and evidence that women's voices are being heard and considered at the meeting. Quote, appointments such as these are symbolic. They are a statement and an indication of the desire to have women's participation in decision making, she said. Even though women are still in the minority among the 365 voting members, as women, we are well able to make our point and use our time and space well. Murray also asked about the closed door discussions, or was also asked about the closed door discussions on the church's position on homosexuality after working document called for gays and others who felt excluded from the church to be welcomed. Specifically, she was asked if the meeting would find some way to atone for the hurt caused to generations of LGBTQ plus Catholics. Catholic teaching holds. So basically, women are getting in there, and the church is going to decide if they're going to become maybe a bit more opening and inclusive or not. Apparently, there's going to be another meeting next year. It is the Catholic Church, so it is going to move at the speed of smell or slower. So I'm sure, it is a sign of something completely different. And I don't know that my grandma, who has since passed on but was very staunchly Catholic, I don't know how she would feel about this. But she liked everything to stay the same. So, you know, I don't know. In other news, Portland is still crazy. A Portland businessman allegedly murders a man in broad daylight, then shoots tourists who record it. I mean, that looks, eh, well, there is no question that violent crime has desecrated the city of Portland. However, a shocking road rage incident that resulted in the murder of a driver and shooting of a tourist has left the community stunned. Portland, Oregon, not Portland, Indiana. Jeffrey E. Hammond, 46, a wealthy Portland businessman, is accused of murdering a driver and shooting a tourist during a road rage incident in broad daylight in downtown Portland on Wednesday afternoon. Hammond was charged with second-degree murder and second-degree attempted murder, 2 counts of unlawful use of a weapon, and fourth-degree assault for the killing of Ryan Martin, 47, and the shooting of a tourist from Phoenix, Samuel Gomez, 48, according to the police. I so this is what I will say, is people who enjoy and who feel comforted in the very rich, deep traditionalism that you feel in a Catholic mass, I don't know how willing they will be to accept a new, modern Catholic. It Look, it should be up to each church, each little Catholic church, how they want to do things. I know, look, my grandpa was the same way. He's like, "It's not in Latin. It's not real mass." Um, Maybe he was having one of those Michael Douglas falling down days and he didn't realize he's the bad guy. I don't know. The Oregonian reported that Martin exited his vehicle to confront Hammond during a road rage incident after the pair exchanged middle fingers. Look, the double deuces is an American pastime, and I feel like should be an Olympic event. Hammond allegedly shot and killed Martin when the unarmed victim approached his vehicle and tapped on his window. Never get out of your car. Just let it go. You got the middle finger and let it go. No, I completely understand. Just let it go. Do not get out of your car. This is just don't. Leaving Martin's lifeless body on the sidewalk after he was shot in the chest. A chilling photo taken by the second victim, Samuel Gomez, captures the moment Hammond pointed his gun at him after he had allegedly shot and killed Martin, when he found himself staring down the barrel of a gun within moments before being shot. He got the gun loaded and he just straight looked at me. Then you can see the picture. He just popped me, Gomez told the outlet, who suffered a bullet wound to his leg, which broke both femurs after it passed through to the other leg. That's incredibly he is incredibly lucky that he survived. I mean, a lot of your blood storage is in your femur, and a lot of your, my goodness, and just for filming, I mean, what the heck? Gomez was in Portland to speak at an annual conference of the National Organization of Minority Architects, and ironically enough, the conference had issued a memo to attendees to avoid walking around Portland over safety concerns due to increases in violent crime. According to court records, Hammond has is a criminal who had been convicted on charges of assault, vandalism, trespassing, domestic battery. Documents show that Hammond recently changed his legal name from Jeffrey Edward Mendelis, the Daily Mail reports. Hammond reportedly admitted to the shootings. According to the police, he drove himself to Multnomah County Courthouse to turn himself in. Witnesses told the police that Hammond had flashed some kind of badge as if he were a policeman and said to one of the victims, "You're lucky I didn't shoot you in the head." No, that was the actual that's, I guess, the photo that he got right after he shot the man. I guess he was just filming it, and this is a freeze frame, and, well, he's trademarked it or copyrighted it. No, I guess that's the real photo. I mean, good luck getting out. My cousin has some issues. Oh, lord. Yeah, just stay in your just don't get so beefed up about driving. Uh, According to the affidavit, Hammond said he, quote, "believed he was justified in doing so because Ryan Martin menaced him and because Sam Gomez might have had a weapon." Sir, you are not getting self-defense in this crap. I don't Due to the closure of his financing company and over $34,000 in credit card debt, Hammond filed bankruptcy in May 2023. Court records reveal that Hammond owns 4 weapons, a 2020 Mercedes SUV, and eight an $890,000 property in Portland's West Hills. Portland is well known for being a murder hotspot with 101 homicides recorded at an all-time high in 2022. Um, Look, I don't generally offer advice, but I wouldn't go to Portland by myself. But that's me. This next one is a sad story, but we have to cover it because it was used as an excuse for what happened to this Swedish soccer fans, uh, and it's also well, it's hella crazy. This dude is an idiot, and he's a freaking moron, and he's just some people can just be so horrible, but let's read it. Yeah, it's not the owning the weapon. I mean, a weapon's never done anything, in and of itself, but let's read this story because it's being used to justify part of the soccer thing if you believe the stories that are coming out on X. DOJ ramps up hate crime probe after six-year-old Palestinian American boy allegedly stabbed to death by landlord over Israel-Hamas war. Kids are innocent, I think is the first thing, but and this guy looks like he might have some mental issues as well. Federal investigators announced Sunday that they have launched a hate crime investigation into the stabbing death of six-year-old Palestinian American boy who was allegedly killed by his landlord over the war between Israel and Hamas. I don't want to mess up his name, so I'm just going to highlight it. And then if I hear it said correctly somewhere, I will say it in future because I'm sure this will be a fairly prominent case. And then welcome Jess Rubery and JKD Buck and Rabbit and Bobby and Kim. Uh, I'm okay. Wadia. I'm going to pretty much. Yeah, David Carradine. If David Carradine did a lot of Breaking Bad, a lot of Breaking Bad. Yeah, it's this child did nothing wrong. This child was killed Saturday, and his mother, Hanan Shannan, was seriously injured when their landlord, Joseph M. Kazuba, 71, allegedly stabbed his tenants at their apartment in Wills County, Illinois. As Law and Crime previously reported, deputies said that Kazuba stabbed his tenants with a serrated military knife that had a 7-inch blade. Quote, "On behalf of the entire Justice Department, I want to express my deepest condolences to his family and his community as they grieve this loss." U.S. uh, Attorney General Merrick B. Garland said in a statement published Sunday, "The department is limited in what more it can say because this is an ongoing criminal investigation." Law enforcement said Kazuba attacked the family because they were Muslim and because of the Israel-Hamas war, which started after terrorist organization Hamas last launched a wild-scale attack on border towns in southern Israel on Saturday, October 7th, going as far as to kidnap and kill civilians. Israel's military response has devastated the civilian population in a city of Gaza. In a statement, President Joe Biden decried Wadia's killing. Quote, "The child's Palestinian Muslim family came to America seeking what we all seek, a refuge to live, learn, and pray in peace," the White House said in a statement. "This horrific act of hate has no place in America and stands against our fundamental values, freedoms from the fear for how we pray, what we believe, and who we are." A prominent well, I try. Once in a while, I mispronounce every other thing, though, so uh, a prominent Muslim civil rights group demanded that the attack be investigated as a hate crime. Now, I don't get hate crimes. I understand the thought process behind them, but doesn't make sense to me to have I mean, he just it's not double murder. I don't know. I find it yeah, don't ask me how to pronounce that. I'm going to actually have to watch the real news and figure out how to pronounce these things. Oh, wait, we're going with care because that group doesn't have problem. Okay, never mind. According to the text message reportedly sent to the father of the boy by the mother from the hospital and shared with Care Chicago, the landlord who had been angry with what he was seeing on the news knocked on their door, and when she opened it, he tried to choke her and proceeded to attack her with a knife, yelling, you know, semi-racist things, all the racist things, Care Chicago said in a press release. When she ran to the bathroom to call 911, she came out to find he had stabbed her 6-year-old son to death. Shanae survived with more than a dozen stab wounds to her bodies, authorities said, but Wadia sustained 27 stab wounds, dying at the hospital. He had celebrated his birthday a couple weeks before Kazuba killed him. Care Chicago said the organization said that mother and son had been living on the ground floor of the residence for 2 years with no previous problems with Kazuba. The sheriff's office arrested the landlord for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder, aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, and 2 counts of a hate crime. The U.S. Department of Justice new announcements raises the possibility of federal charges. Quote, "This incident cannot help but further raise the fears of Muslim, Arab, and Palestinian communities in our country in regards to the hate-fueled violence," Garland said. The Department of Justice is focused on protecting the safety and civil rights of every person in the country. We will use every legal authority at our disposal to bring justice to those who perpetrate illegal acts of hate. No one in the United States, uh, let's see, of America should have to live in fear of violence because of how they worship or where they or their family come from. Okay, I get that, but you again, hate crimes to me just it's not like you love stabbed someone. I don't get it. I don't understand making a special, protected class of people just because they have certain characteristics that are inalienable. It just it it seems like if you attack someone, you already dislike them. I would consider intrinsic in the act of being murdery or stabby, you just already dislike them. I don't understand this extra thought crime that we add to it. I get the thinking behind it, I just don't think it works in my way of thinking. In other news, kangaroos are jerks. Martial artist, punches 7-foot kangaroo that was drowning his dog. It turned into a Ru-jitsu match for the ages. New York Post, I love you, but you're cringe-tastic. Footage captured the ludicrous moment that an Australian ex-cop and martial arts enthusiast punched an allegedly 7-foot-tall kangaroo that was drowning his dog, kicking off a wild interspecies brawl. Video of the Rue fight racked up over 2.5 million views on TikTok before getting taken down, but a repost is currently blowing up on Reddit. I saw a kangaroo with his arms in the water, basically just staring at me, Mick Maloney told 7 News of the ridiculous encounter. Okay, okay, New York Post, I'm about to put you on like, pun timeout. Which occurred Sunday at the Murray River in Mildura, Victoria. The former police officer who reportedly trains in Brazilian jiu-jitsu I can say words, I can, had reportedly been walking by the river when he noticed that one of his dogs, Hutchie, was nowhere to be found. He had observed that his other dogs were acting unusually quiet and not venturing towards or into the river, a departure from their normal routine of frolicking in the water. Yeah, uh, I have heard that kangaroos will try to drown dogs. Oh, well, as you can see, he's paying. Are you eating a sponge? That's my last sponge for the kitchen. Fry, Fry, drop it. Come here. Give it to me. Come here. Not get ready to run. Come here. Give it to me. Fry. Shortly thereafter, both the reason for their strange behavior and Hutchie's whereabouts simultaneously became crystal clear. Maloney reportedly looked at the river and saw a 7-foot tall kangaroo with its arms submerged in water. 1 second. Roberto, get. This is yours. And you have no. You can have this. This is your toy. No, I need one. What? If you would like dishes done, I don't want to do dishes. I hate dishes. But Fry is like, I had my sponge. Well, so the training book I said it, or I was reading said if you give him something that he's supposed to be having instead of the bad thing, I don't know. He has he has the memory of a goldfish, so I don't know if it's actually working, but if we keep reinforcing, "These are your toys, this is not a toy," hopefully it'll work. It was like, "Are you kidding me?" exclaimed Maloney, who sprang into action to his uh, rescue him from his deadly interspecies baptism. Uh, the accompanying video filmed on the Aussie's smartphone shows the cop approaching the marsupial who's holding his dog underwater its eyeballs while eyeballs him inquisitively. "I'm going to punch your effing head in," warns Maloney before commanding the marsupial to let go of his dog. The kangaroo jackass refuses, prompting the pet owner to punch the beast, setting it staggering backwards in apparent bewilderment. Look at those claws. I However, the Roo appears to retaliate by striking back with its clawed paw, knocking Maloney's phone into the drink, causing the screen to go blurry and then black like it found footage horror film. All the while, sounds of interspecies scuffles continue in the dark until the Aussie retrieves his phone, which shows Hutchie safely on the riverbank. The clip concludes with the Roo continuing to mean mug from the water as Maloney wades back to shore while guffawing over the ridiculous predicament. Despite his grappling pedigree, the ex cop stated that his BBJ skills were ineffective versus the critter, which seemingly bested him with his mixed marsupial arts, according to news.com EU. Thankfully, both Maloney and his pooch came away from the punch on fight largely unscathed. "I got a few scratches," the brawler recalled. "My forearm was killing me for most of the day." Interesting, a lot of Reddit seemed to back the Roo, with many accusing him of letting his dog chase the critter into the water. Yeah, I know. Murder Mittens. Yeah, Disney's gonna remake Bambi and make them all kangaroos, the world's deadliest deer. I'd actually watch Revenge of Bambi, the Deadliest Deer, the kangaroo story. Yeah, I know. She's probably like, "Stop it, Mo. Just stop." Um, Keep your dog under control and this situation would have been avoided, one critic said. The kangaroo was defending itself. For the love of why is it that some people on the internet just want to side with the villains? Like, animal drowning doggo must be the good guy. That'll teach him, "Don't let your dogs chase wildlife," criticize another. "He's lucky it didn't push the dog under and stand on it." They added, "I've seen a 6-foot roo take on 2 pig hunting dogs. It would have killed them both had the owner not swam out to it. It stood on one and dunked the other up and down like a wild washing machine." One armchair wildlife expert claimed that retreating to the water is a survival instinct to escape dingo attacks. They can and will drown what they view as a predator, so dude definitely saved his dog's life, they explained. Dragging predators into a watery grave is not an unusual defense tactic for the marsupials. There's a very strong instinct. Kangaroos will go to the water if they're threatened by a predator. Kangaroo ecologist Graham, Graham Coulson from the University of Melbourne told the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, "In the case of a big male, they can definitely drown dogs. If the dog swims out to them, they've got strong arms and big claws." Many Redditors claim that Molney's should thank his lucky stars that he and his pooch didn't suffer worse. Fry, the cats don't like you, and barking at them doesn't make them your friends. Uh, Many Redditors claimed, oh, okay. Yep, that's about right. That one guy who punched a roo really effed people's common sense, declared one. Man's lucky the roo didn't drown him instead. Despite their Dr. Seuss appearance, kangaroos are apparently formidable combatants. Fry disagrees. He's like, "Let me at him." Along with drowning, the beasts, which have been known to grow 6 foot 7 inches tall and weigh nearly 200 pounds, are known to box with their forepaws and stand on their tails to deliver vicious two-legged kicks. There are also apparently well versed in Roo Jitsu, as evidenced by the now viral video of a gray kangaroo seemingly putting its opponent to sleep with a rear naked choke. So there you go. Yeah, I'm just gonna blanket say that uh the hopping mutant deer are also, I don't know, but the hopping mutant deer are also, while not verboten in the Church of Mo, we just respect their power and choose to stay far the hell away from them. Uh, no, no, he won't. He will always think they're his best friends. He's always willing to give the peace a chance. He does not learn from his mistakes. Let's see, and then this is kind of an interesting story. I was looking for a long time for stories that weren't, all the cray cray, and hundreds rallied to support an NYC father arrested for protecting his son from a violent attack. Around 300 community members, including parents, rallied against bullying after father was arrested for protecting his 13-year-old son from violent attack. So, this is the original assault. So, the incident began with a scuffle over a basketball game in Dyker Heights, Brooklyn, New York, on September 28th. Brian, the 13-year-old boy, was with his friends when an argument between his friends and another group of students, including two brothers, occurred over a game. The two brothers attempted to join a game and called a family member for support, leading to the arrival of Hassan Saab, a 24-year-old man who brutally assaulted Brian. The footage captured Saab punching and kicking the teen as he laid on the ground, while another bystander attempted to intervene. According to the police, Brian said that Saab kicked him in the head, resulting in his head hitting the fence. Another 13-year-old boy stated that Saab punched him in the chest and neck, causing pain and redness. After the alleged assault, Saab reportedly left the scene in a black sedan. So Saab then shows up at Brian's house 2 days later with Saab shows up to Brian's doorstep with a group of armed men, or with a group armed with baseball bats, yelling anti-Asian slurs, according to Brian's father, Ting Duo Doi Lee. Lee reportedly armed himself with a shovel and broom, resulting in a violent confrontation. Saab is how it's pronounced or how it's written, so Lee claimed that Saab struck him over the head with the weapon, causing a laceration. He was transported to Lutheran Medical Center for treatment. Arrests and charges. Saab faced charges that include assault, criminal possession of a weapon, acting in a manner injurious to a child, disorderly conduct, and harassment. Lee was also charged with assault after Saab reported that he'd been hit with a shovel and caused bruising to his right arm. Well, I feel terrible. Bruising to your right arm after you kicked a 13-year-old butt when you're 24 and then showed up at his doorstep with a bunch of thugs? Oh, that is right. Uh, the investigation into the incident is still ongoing. The rally on Wednesday, hundreds filled the street in Bay Ridge outside PS 264 in support of the Lee family. Community members are calling for charges against Lee to be dropped, for maximum charges against Saab, and for the students involved to be expelled. They also emphasize the need to address anti Asian attacks, with concerns that the case is not being investigated as a hate crime. Local leaders and parents are demanding the safety of children and quality education in schools. Quote, "Today it happened to their family, but tomorrow it can happen to my family," said Jim Zen, a father from Williamsburg, according to the New York Post. State senator support. State Senator Iwan Chu has pledged support for Brian's family, emphasizing that children's safety cannot be compromised. Quote, "One thing needs to be very clear. Our children's safety cannot be compromised," Chu said. "This behavior needs to face the consequences." Saab and his lawyer have not provided immediate comment on this situation. So it is nice to see the community getting together for something not horrible. I mean, granted, it's not the greatest situation, but the dad is protecting his son. You come to some guy's house with a group of people with a bunch of weapons. I I mean, get out of cities, people. This guy had an angry mob of armed people come to his house, and he still gets charged for trying to defend himself. What kind of world do we live in? Especially when a 24-year-old basically comes up and beats his 13-year-old kid up and then decides to continue it on with his family. I just I do not know, people. In another crossbow story, I didn't think we'd have another one today, but in another crossbow story, man who killed victim with crossbow bolt to the neck in front of victim's girlfriend learns his fate. Um, you know, I'm not gonna say profiling, but if you were to just show me this man's mugshot and say, "Murdered person with a crossbow," I'm gonna say not shocked. I don't know if that's profiling or what that says about me, but I'm just gonna say not shocked based on mugshot. It's been one of them Mondays. A 27-year-old man in Pennsylvania will spend more than a year behind bars for killing his friend. Well, I would hope he would spend more than a year behind bars. Shooting him in the neck with a crossbow bolt as the victim's girlfriend watched in horror before he fled the scene without an attempt to kill the or help the victim. Common Pleas Judge Travis Levengood on Friday ordered Alec Paul Rhodes to serve a sentence of 5 years in the state correctional facility with a chance for parole after 15 months in the 2021 slaying of Darren Lingenfelter, court records reviewed by Law and Crime Show. In August, Rhodes pleaded no contest to one count of involuntary manslaughter in the grisly death. He was initially arrested, charged with one count each of criminal homicide, third-degree murder, aggravated assault, and reckless endangerment. But he reached a deal with prosecutors when they agreed to drop those charges in exchange for him pleading to manslaughter. Rhodes' sentence will be served concurrent, meaning at the same time, to a state prison sentence of 6 to 12 years he is currently serving after being convicted on 2 counts of being a felon in possession of a firearm. In addition to the prison sentence, the judge ordered Rhodes to pay $15,000 fine and a $16,000 restitution to the Greensburg Crime Laboratory. And where is he going to get all this money? That's a lot of license plates. According to public information release from the Pennsylvania State Bedford Division, troopers responded to the residents in the 100 block of Railroad Avenue in Liberty Township at 10:30 a.m. on May 23rd, 2021, regarding a person in need of medical assistance. The first responders found Lingenfelder dead, struck with an arrow bolt discharged from a crossbow in the residence. A witness identified as the victim's girlfriend told investigators that Rhodes took the weapon from the bedroom and said he wanted to shoot it, but it discharged, striking Lingenfelter in the neck. She said Rhodes tried to tell her that Lingenfelter was playing with the weapon and accidentally shot himself. However, the witness told investigators that she was in the room with the victim when he was shot, and Lingenfelder was not near the crossbow when he was fatally shot with a bolt. I mean, yeah, Pennsylvania, they're living high on the hog. After shooting Lingenfelter, authorities say that Rhodes did nothing to help and instead choosing to flee the residence. Surveillance footage obtained by investigators corroborates Rhodes fleeing, authorities previously stated. Rhodes was arrested at a residence in James Creek, Pennsylvania later that day. Do you have a shoe? Fry? Fry? Do you have a shoe? Are you supposed to have a shoe? Fry? Fry? That's a Clark. Give me my shoe. Sir, this is not going to be. No, you're not getting a shoe. Okay. Rhodes' previous felony conviction stemmed from his pleading guilty to being in possession of a controlled substance in 2017, meaning he was legally prohibited from possessing a firearm. No, you're not getting the shoes I currently have on, so just chill, sir. And then Canada at last. So we know what censorship looks like. Trudeau's internet censorship plan kicks off with government-operated streaming registry. Well, that doesn't sound terrifying. Friday's announcement from the Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission, CRTC, that online streaming services in Canada must register with a government agency has sent a chill through independent media. Critics say it's beginning of a broad registry of all online news media, even if the CRTC is currently maintaining that $10 million threshold exists for broadcasters before they must register. Previously, CRTC vice chairman and former editor of the Calgary Herald Post posted Monday on X, quote, essentially and eventually, the CRTC intends to regulate everything on the internet. That's pretty much the way it regulates TV, radio, and cable. Say goodbye to free and open internet, Canada. Well, that sounds special. Me too, me too. I wish he would go to his father's land, Cuba. Just look at a picture of Pierre Trudeau and look at a picture of Fidel Castro and look at Trudeau and, you know, our eyeballs can do a better paternity test. I'm just saying. Noted journalist Glenn Greenwald posted on X, quote, "The Canadian government, armed with the world's most repressive online censorship schemes, has announced, quote, all online streaming services that offer podcasts must formally register with the government to permit regulatory controls." In a news release, the CRTC announced that it is setting out which online streaming services need to provide information about their activities in Canada. Online streaming services that operate in Canada offer broadcasting content and earn $10 million or more in annual revenues will need to complete a registration form by November 28th, 2023. The declaration is part of the Trudeau government's Online Streaming Act, or BC11, which was called a dangerous first step towards government being in control of the internet by Justice for Constitution Freedoms President John Carpay, who wrote that, quote, "In the long run, CRTC would end up regulating much of the content posted on major social media, even when the content is generated or uploaded by religious, political, or charitable nonprofits." However, reading further down in the news release, CRTC uses ambiguous language and apparently contradicts its own guidelines by stating online services that offer podcasts must register. However, individuals who use social media to share podcasts do not. The CRTC has previously stated that, quote, individuals that host podcasts on their own websites or make them available on subscription service platform other than social media service are not explicitly excluded from the Broadcasting Act under subsection 2.1. University of Ottawa law professor Michael Geist was quick to comprehensively comment on the CRTC announcement in an essay. Geist suggested that Geist suggested the government's plans are, quote, not as bad as critics would suggest, but not nearly as benign as the CRTC would have you believed. But Geist said the real danger of the CRTC's announcement is that it is a thin edge of the wedge, with the registration requirement being the first step towards a far broader regulatory framework. Again, you guys, this is why people don't want registries. We don't want I I swear to God, half of the world is like, "Govern me harder, daddy," and the rest of us is like, "Look, govern them harder, and we would like to be left alone." I mean, you have that's the basic fight we have. It's not Republican or Democrat, it's the people who want to be left the hell alone and the people that won't leave them the hell alone. Swear to God. In fact, the rationale for the CRTC to include many of the services that is that without such information, it is not as well positioned to regulate. This creates an obvious contradiction. The Commission claims that the registration requirement is de minimis, requiring the disclosure of only limited information. Uh, so basically, yeah, if you're in Canada, get a VPN, allegedly in Minecraft. Look, I don't know how to work one. I'm sure I'm going to be getting one soon, but I'm just saying it might be time to make sure that you can move your country of origin, allegedly, to some other free state, like, Cuba. Yes. Those are our stories for you today. Hopefully, you had fun. There was not as much crazy news, fun crazy news. We had a little bit kangaroos are buttholes. Don't mess with bears, but Rudy's an awesome dude. It's like, "Where's Waldo?" He's there and then he's back. Uh, I will be back in the morning for Mornings with Mo and Fry. I will try to do the Boy in the Box trial tomorrow, unless something else preempts it. I don't know. I don't anticipate anything else coming out, but you never know. We will eventually, if we don't finish it this week, then we will do it definitely during this weekend. You did. You did. But I will see you guys in the morning, and then we will finish up the Boy in the Box trial this week. It needs to be done. I am done. I wanna see what the defense does, how crazy, cousin Lemmy goes. It'll be great. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have keep Nick in your thoughts. I know he's kinda struggling. I know that the soccer hooligan community in Sweden is a fairly close-knit one, so even if he didn't know those people, it's still a fairly awful, terrible thing to have had happen. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Bye.